Have you ever noticed how sometimes the people who treat you the worst are the same people you help the most? Not strangers, not enemies, but people who needed something from you: time, support, money, advice, encouragement. And once they got back on their feet, the energy shifted. They became distant, irritated, dismissive, or even disrespectful. It can feel confusing, almost like kindness backfired. But often, what you're seeing isn't about your help. It's about how your presence makes them feel about themselves. Human beings care deeply about image, not just how others see us, but how we see ourselves. Most people are walking around with a mental story about who they are: capable, independent, successful, in control. When life contradicts that story, when someone struggles financially, emotionally, or socially, it creates discomfort. And if you were there during that vulnerable period, you become part of the evidence that the story wasn't true, at least for a while. Even if you never mention it, even if you were nothing but supportive, your existence becomes a reminder. This person saw me when I wasn't okay. For emotionally secure people, that can deepen trust. They feel grateful that someone witnessed their hard moment and stayed. But for others, especially those who rely heavily on appearances for self-worth, it can feel like exposure. Not exposure because you're telling anyone, exposure because you know. And being known is powerful. It removes the ability to perform. Around new people, they can present a clean slate. They can say they've always been doing well, always had it together, always been confident. But around you, the timeline exists. You remember the late-night panic, the borrowed money, the uncertainty, the version of them they're trying to leave behind. So instead of feeling safe, they may feel constrained, like they can't fully reinvent themselves while you're around. That discomfort often gets misinterpreted as dislike toward you, when really it's discomfort with the version of themselves you witnessed. Shame also plays a big role here. Shame isn't just feeling bad about what happened. It's feeling bad about who you were during that time. And shame is an emotion most people try to escape, not process. One common way to escape it is by converting it into irritation or superiority. If they can convince themselves that you're not that important, not that impressive, or somehow beneath them, they don't have to feel vulnerable around you anymore. It's easier to think, "I don't like them," than to admit, "I feel exposed around them." Another layer is dependence. If someone needed you, especially when they didn't want to, that can bruise the ego. Many cultures celebrate independence as strength, so needing help can feel like failure. When the crisis passes, they may want psychological distance from anything that reminds them they weren't self-sufficient. Unfortunately, that can include distancing from the very person who showed up for them. There's also the issue of image management. Some people maintain a carefully curated version of their life for others, on social media, in social circles, even in everyday conversation. They may exaggerate stability, success, or confidence. If you know the behind-the-scenes reality, your presence makes that performance feel fragile. Not because you'll expose them, but because they know you don't have to believe the illusion. You can't be impressed by something you watched being assembled. And sometimes, there's projection. If they judge themselves harshly for needing help, they may assume you judge them too. So they preemptively defend against a criticism you never made. In their mind, you think you're better than them, when in reality you may just be calm, stable, or simply not pretending. Ironically, kindness can intensify this dynamic. If you helped without shaming them, without asking for anything in return, it removes their ability to say, "Well, they were mean about it." Now the only discomfort left is internal. And internal discomfort often looks for an external target. So it lands on you. None of this means your kindness was misplaced. It just means kindness doesn't guarantee emotional maturity in the person receiving it. Some people grow closer to those who supported them. Others pull away because closeness feels like vulnerability. What's important to remember is that healthy people don't resent being known. They value it. They feel relief around someone who saw them at their worst. and didn't walk away. They don't need to perform. They can just be human. Those are the relationships that deepen over time. But when someone becomes cold, dismissive, or hostile after you've seen their struggle, it's often a signal, not a mystery. It tells you they're trying to manage shame, image, or insecurity, not that you did something wrong. In a strange way, being the person who knows the truth gives you quiet power. Not power to control them, but power to see clearly. You can recognize that their behavior isn't about your worth. It's about their discomfort with being seen. They know you know the real them, and this is what upsets them. Because sometimes the hardest person to face isn't the one who hurt you. It's the one who helped you when you couldn't hide. The one you had to humble yourself to and ask something from. And if you've ever been that person, the one who showed up, the one who knew, the one who stayed, then understand this. Your presence didn't diminish them. It revealed their humanity. Whether they accept that or run from it is a reflection of their lack, not your value.